So, do you know the name Micah Hudson? You might if you're somebody in Lubbock or in College Station. You might not if you're somebody else. But Micah Hudson is one of the highest rated recruits in the history of Texas Tech football. He went there with all the hype in the world and all 5 of those stars next to his name, and he goes to the Red Raiders, and it doesn't work out. It never clicked. It was not firing on all cylinders. It wasn't an immediate, hey, this is great. Didn't work out. So he goes in the transfer portal. He goes over to Texas A&M. And what do you know? He's now reportedly going to go back in the portal, maybe, could go back to Texas Tech. The Red Raiders feel good about their wide receiver situation. So they, I think, would take a guy of that talent level and say, hey, if you want to come here, great, but we're not in a pressing need. That's not where Texas Tech's been lacking. You know, they've been lacking in the portal. That's why they went out and got guys like Romello Height from Georgia Tech. You know, they're trying to beef themselves up in the trenches because they know the skill position guys and the offense that they've got running down there with Baron Morton, like they'll be okay. But I want to talk about the big picture ramifications here because this is starting to pop up in college football more and more. And I think it probably happens more than people frankly realize. And this is an issue on 2 fronts, or not an issue, something to address from 2 different angles. Angle number 1, Micah Hudson was a tremendously talented 5-star recruit whose film would blow you away. Every recruiting service and analyst and everyone that looked at him said he's going to be great. He's got all this potential in the world. He's playing wide receiver, you know, so he doesn't have to have all of the intangibles you need to play quarterback, for instance. He's just got to be able to go out there and ball. Not even those guys are 100% hit rate. No one is a 100% hit rate anywhere, at any point in time, at any position. You can have all the stars you want next to your name. Ty Thompson was a 5-star quarterback recruit a couple of several cycles ago. He is currently at Tulane playing tight end. It just doesn't always go the way that it looks on paper. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, though, is this back and forth of he's at Texas Tech, he's going to Texas A&M, suddenly he's considering going back in the portal and might go back to another spot. It reminds me of what happened a little bit. I don't know every single detail, but from an outside perspective, what happened with Jonte Cook this past offseason, it was kind of similar, where he was at Texas, former 5-star recruit. He was there for 2 seasons, didn't crack the rotation because the Longhorns, wait for it, have a lot of talented receivers over the last couple of years. They brought in Matthew Golden from Houston. That worked out. Ryan Wingo is going to be the next great Texas wide receiver this season with Arch Manning at quarterback. So Cook goes into the transfer portal, and he's getting offers from all over the place, Oregon and other big-time schools. He winds up going to Washington. He's there for less than 48 hours. Now who knows what the future is going to hold. So I bring that side of it up to stress the importance of recruiting. And when you go out as a college program and you say, all right, we want to go out and, you know, try and land this many blue chip kids or, you know, get this many 4-star kids, that many 5-star kids, you know, you hear a lot about the blue chip ratio and does that really matter? The reason it does is because when you are recruiting a player of this caliber, if you're a school like Texas Tech and you can only get a blue chip or a 5-star wide receiver, you know, once every 4 or 5 years, you can still have good players on the perimeter. But if you have a situation like this arrive where maybe there are off-field issues or it doesn't click on the field or he's not settling into the situation or adapting to college in just the right way, what you then wind up with is you're going down to the next batch of guys, and if you haven't recruited the depth that you actually need, then you're going to have a significant talent drop-off. And so, you know, in the transfer portal era, high school recruiting's importance is minimized compared to what it used to be. It is still making up the overwhelming majority of rosters. I think that gets lost in translation all the time when you talk about high school recruiting, as I'm going to later on today's show, because Clemson has been crushing it. This is why you go out and say, look, we want as many talented players as we can possibly find, because odds are they're not all going to work out. But the next option that we have, whether it's a transfer or a high school kid we've developed or someone that we recruited who's, you know, a highly touted guy ready to contribute as a true freshman, you got to have those options there. So that's another angle of it. But these sorts of stories, they also give me kind of Jaden Rashada vibes. Rashada was committed to Miami. Then he flipped to Florida. Then he was suing Florida, and he left. And he went to Arizona State, and then he got beat out by Sam Leavitt. We saw why. Sam Leavitt, really good quarterback over there for the Sun Devils this past season, led him to a Big 12 championship and whatnot. Jaden Rashada, last time I had checked, still in the transfer portal. 5-star quarterback, still in the portal. Brian Smith has got a crazy stat for you later on today's show about quarterbacks and how often they transfer. But this is becoming more common in the NIL space. I don't know that NIL has anything to do with why Hudson has been kind of a nomad so far in his college career and hasn't been able to fully settle down. But I think that these sorts of instances are becoming more frequent because of the way the NIL space currently operates. Rashada is the best example of it. But what the rollout of the portal and NIL from the NCAA, which was, I believe, sloppily done, has allowed to have happen situations like this where behind the scenes, you have a lot of people trying to get in a kid's ear. It is an unstable situation. It's not always tenable, and the kids can struggle to settle in. Now, they're a minute number of kids compared to those who are just able to find NIL deals and get contracts that work, or go make this amount of money to just play for this school and call it NIL. I mean, NIL mostly today is pay for play, but there are actual, honest to goodness, name, image, and likeness deals that are out there. Like I keep seeing the Flow J. Johnson ads where she's with the money company. I forget what it is, but like college athletes being on TV. Remember that wasn't allowed. That wasn't allowed. That's what it is now. So I think with all these changes and everything that's been going on behind the scenes, I think these stories are going to continue to show up. Sometimes it'll happen maybe with lower rated recruits. Sometimes it'll be with more high profile recruits. But when you roll out an environment that allows for a lot of uncertainty and chaos behind the scenes, I think these situations can start to snowball in their frequency. And I don't want to see that. So I hope it gets better one day. Maybe it will when the House settlement goes through and revenue sharing comes about. But a guy of this caliber to just be out there and maybe returning to Texas Tech, or maybe not playing football, like we don't really know. We don't know what's going on after he'd already announced his transfer to Texas Tech, to Texas A&M previously this year. Hate to say it, but kind of seems like these are becoming annual stories. It's just a matter of who, not a matter of if they're going to take place. I think that's unfortunate.